Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to do a mining versus buying comparison, which we've done in the past pretty extensively. We've done it quite a few times. This time though, we're going to do it with ASICs, and we're going to do one ASIC specifically just so you can get an idea of the viewpoint, right? Not necessarily saying to do this or to not do this, but it's just kind of giving you that perspective and why it's so important to be like ahead of these things, kind of see what's happening, and then when it does happen, that way you're ready for it. That way you're not panicking and like, oh, what should I do? That way you're ready for it and just continue on, right? With this big crash, did change a lot of things, and there were a lot of things to take advantage of. And by planning things ahead of time, you're ready for it, right? So we're just going to talk about that, talk about different buying strategies, different dips, what I'm looking at. Not saying to buy these coins specifically, but just what I'm looking at. So maybe you can use that same kind of gauge for whatever you're in the market for, right? Because everybody's plan is going to be different. Everybody's goal is going to be different. But we'll have a nice little discussion kind of going all around, right? So if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get to this thing. So this video is probably going to bounce all over the place. We're going to talk about, because a lot of it has to do with this dip. We're going to talk about whether it's better to mine or buy, which if you're newer to this channel, you know I'm a huge proponent for both, right? I hate this mindset of being one or the other. The goal should be to stack coins, right? At least for me, right? Obviously I'm a miner, I love mining, and to me that is the best way to DCA. But at the end of the day, there are opportunities or times when it's more opportunistic to do one over the other, okay? And when those opportunities come up, which in this case these like crashes, it is a huge opportunity that you may want to be taking advantage of, okay? One big key takeaway from all of this, though, and that I kind of stress as much as I can whenever I can sneak it in there, is plan, set goals, do these things so that when these opportunities do come, you are ready, you already know what to do, how much to buy, how much you have allocated, and which ones to go into. Because like when you see things happen like this with this extent, because again, we just had this nice little crash, it's more than just a dip. BTC dipped down to 48K. So what do you think happens to the alts? They freaking dipped like crazy. So very good buying opportunities. And if you don't already have like plans in place, accumulation goals in place, you're going to sit there just kind of staring at charts and like not knowing what to do. You're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to be like, oh man, this thing looks good. This looks good. Or this one dipped more. Should I buy this one? A lot of things, which again, if you plan ahead of these things, you already know what to do. So like when this dip happened, I was already ready. I had specific coins I wanted to get. There was one variation that I wasn't kind of preparing for, I wasn't ready for, but seeing those numbers instantly, it made sense and I jumped in, and I'm glad I did. And that's why we're going to kind of do this mining versus buying thing. We're going to do one specific example with one of my ASICs and kind of what I did about it, and kind of the regards with that specific ASIC, whether it's not worth purchasing, and honestly, 100% better to buy with this dip. Okay, this is not going to be always or all the time, but when these dips happen, there are opportunities to take advantage of, and it kind of eliminates the need or the tempt to buy one of these. And this isn't just saying that, okay, don't buy this one or don't do this one. It's just that's the mindset you need to look at when you're considering any of these ASICs, okay? Because the goal at the end of the day with ASICs, at least for me, obviously to make money, but it's a faster, better, cheaper way to yield more of that coin, to get more of that coin. It's like ECAing is the best way to think about it. Okay, it's a different way, it's a more efficient way of DCAing. That's just literally how I look at it. I look at the yield solely. I'm not looking at profitability currently. Obviously, that's one factor as to whether I want to buy that unit or not. I'm not trying to buy something that's at a loss either. But that's not what I focus on. I focus on the yield. I don't look at current value because, again, I don't care about today's value. I care about the yield. Want to make sure it's not at a loss, and I'm more concerned with profitability when it comes to the bull market. Okay. So again, BTC dipped down to 48. And of course, what do you think that is the alts? The alts freaking dipped pretty massively. And again, a lot of good data points. Another thing I will stress, when these things do happen, a lot of very good data. Specifically, which ones recover the fastest. Okay, for example, Solana, again, which is why I'm so freaking bullish on it from the beginning, it recovers so freaking quickly. Okay, if like you weren't bullish on it before, like it going down to under 110, it went down to like 108. It's currently at 146 already. Okay, it's like that. And it's not just them, there's other coins. It really depends on what you're into, what you're looking at. But these are just the data points I like to see. And just because also it doesn't recover quickly doesn't mean it's done either, right? It's just, there's different coins, different times, different horizons. You just have to be ready, right? So like for me specifically, most of my focus was on the coins that I established new positions within the last 6 months. I wanted to finalize some of those bags, at least initially, right? Because I have like a base amount minimum I want to try to acquire. And then from there, I kind of decide whether I want to acquire more or start another bag. Okay, so again, at this point, prices were so juicy that literally anything you threw money at, you're probably in the green already. Okay, so again, it's just one of those things where you want to plan, you want to prepare. That way you're not stressing about these things. That way you're like happy when these things happen because you already have those price points in mind. Instead of sitting here stressed like, oh, should I do this? Should I buy this? Because literally, bro, there's thousands upon thousands of freaking coins. Okay, but again, if you're already ready, you're like, oh, I only need 200 more of this coin and I met my accumulation goal. Then bam, that's definitely that one, right? So now on to the next one. So I try to set these goals to make my life easier. Okay, so that way it's just easy peasy, do the damn thing and get it done, right? So again, hopefully you guys took advantage of this thing, and if not, that's okay too, right? If you burn all your dry powder, all your excess USDT or cash, then that is what it is, right? That doesn't mean you like sell your kidney or mortgage your house to take advantage of this. It kind of is what it is. You want to never invest more than you can lose, right? It's just, again, when these opportunities come up, you may want to try to make that happen however you can. But so currently another good data point, again, because this is more of a crash, this isn't really so much of a dip. It's been quite a while since we've had this much of a crash or whatever you may want to call it since then. I mean, we're literally at 70 just a few days ago, literally days ago. Okay, dipped all the way down to 48K just like that. Okay, and these types of things happen. It is what it is. Your portfolio, especially if you're very all heavy, got super wrecked. But you just have to be mentally prepared for that because it's going to happen. Was this the last one? Maybe. Is there going to be another one? We don't know. We don't know if this one even gets worse, right? We don't know if this is the end of it. Currently, things did recover. But again, just as quickly as they drop like this, it can happen again. We can go down even further. It's up to you to decide on what you think, right? Because at the end of the day, it's your finances, your goals, your things. Take people's opinion into account, but trust your gut, right? Go with your gut. If you've been in this game for a while, you follow the things, you kind of see things, right? You kind of see where you're going just based off of what's happened in the past, right? So it just depends on the extent. And so people love reading charts, looking at charts. I do look at them, but not extensively. I'm not a leverage trader. Don't do any of that. I'm more of a swing trader based on sentiment, based on what's going on in the macro, things that are coming up, and that's kind of what I base decisions off of. Okay. So when we're looking at ASICs, one interesting thing you want to look at here, a good data point, is to see which ones are still profitable, right? And by how much. Obviously, my goal is break even or better, but obviously the more profitable, the better, because it gives you a bigger cushion. Okay, because if it's right at the point where it is break even and things are already looking kind of squirrely, then it may make sense to potentially unplug for a bit, which is what I actually did. I did it with 3 of my ASICs. I unplugged the K3, even the K7, which was slightly profitable, and the HS3. Reason being is things were already looking kind of murky, and the K7 so far still profitable, but in reality, the main reason is because I wanted to reallocate that electric money. So again, I'm not taking profits. I don't sell at the end to pay my electric. I pay it out of pocket. So I'm going to pay that fixed amount regardless, whether I'm paying the electric company or instead I use that money to DC into other coins or sometimes into that same existing coin because it's currently at a loss. Then that's what I'll do. So if I see a certain trend where it seems like it's going to be a while, or if I want to start another position. So for me, in reality, things were already looking kind of squirrely. I wanted to start another position into another coin. Okay, so that was the main reason. Luckily, it worked into this dip. So it worked out beautifully, but who knows if this would have happened or to this extent. Okay. So one that did play out extremely well because it's fairly unprofitable, and currently, because of the current climate, because of the current price, it does not make sense to purchase one of these things if you are interested in them. And that is with the Kadena ASIC, the KA3. Okay, and this is one I kind of A lot of people were asking because of that dip that happened in, or not that dip, the pump that happened in December. A lot of people got super interested in it. And the reason I was kind of against this and even the K7 is because of the potential for the price to decrease. Okay, luckily you did have a good little run. It did go up there, but then by the time people got it, it did dip a little bit, but did have a massive run in March. Okay, but you can see here from that peak in March, which a lot of coins peaked, right? March 2024 is a good data point. Somewhere between the 10th and 17th, a lot of coins did have a nice little peak. Okay, so I love looking at these massive pumps and at these massive dips because they're good comparison levels. Okay, so like a lot of coins peaked here. A good dip point, like if you want to see if the current price is a good price, is go back to September, October 23. That was the dip leading into the huge run up into all of this essentially. So if prices are anywhere near where they were back then, to me, insta buys. Okay, for the ones that I wanted to accrue more of. So in the case of Cadena, the reason I was so weary of it again is to not buy them at these prices because the profitability looked amazing. You look at the profitability calculator and like, man, it's making 20 bucks a day. It's only like 3,500 bucks, 4,000 bucks, which was kind of high. But I was kind of against it, and I even made those videos. Don't chase the profits. Don't do any of that. It's like if you're bullish long term and you think it's going to continue to go up from there, then go for it. Okay, but to me, it seemed extremely toppy and something that it was probably pretty likely to retrace. Did I think it was going to retrace this hard again? No. Did I think it was going to go down to like this level and stay at this level? Yeah. That's kind of where I was comfortable with. But as soon as it started like dipping downwards, so you can see here, once it dipped from like 80 something cents and continued downwards, that's when I was already kind of iffy. And that kind of confirmed it for me. Okay, so at the point where I unplugged is once it hit like the 60-cent level. Okay, once it hit there, then at that point it was like, it was looking like it was potentially going to go lower. Because again, break even or better is the goal. You want it to be at least slightly profitable so you have that cushion in case things do dip. But once we're on a downtrend like that and it looked like things were going to get worse, I'm perfectly fine unplugging for a bit and then using that money to either buy that coin outright or use it to buy other coins, which in my example, the reason I did it was to actually buy other coins. At this point, I'm comfortable with my Cadena bag. I'm comfortable with even my CKB bag, my HS3 bag. So because of that, because of where the market was kind of looking, I ended up unplugging the three of those guys with the intention of using that money that I was going to use for the electric to just buy other coins. Kind of start diversifying because I did want to start other bags. And this was around the time that I did that portfolio video, right? That was the time where I was shaking up a lot of things and I was kind of dead set on where I wanted to go at that point. Okay. So you can see here on Pool Flare, my last payout for the KA3 was 618, and that's when I unplugged those three, and again with the intention of doing that. Prices, again, I did not think they were going to go this freaking low, but again, it's just kind of justifying that, and if it stays in this range, then they're going to stay unplugged, okay? Specifically, at least the KA3 and probably even the HS3. That thing's been tanking like a freaking crazy too. The K7 is still profitable, still like break even, so that one would be okay, but I would like to wait for the market to start turning around before I plug in the 3, if I do again at all. At this point, I'm very happy with the amounts I allocated. I hit my goals with all 3 of them. So at this point, I'm just waiting for a pump to sell them, right? So we'll see how it recovers, because again, also when I'm saying it recovers, also that doesn't mean like, okay, we're back to 60 or 70 cents, plug it back in. I want to be confident that it's on an upwards trajectory. So just because it hits 65, 70 cents and it's breaking, I'm not going to plug in the same day either. I'm going to wait to a point where it seems like, okay, we're at like 80 cents and things are continuing to get bullish. Then it'll be time for me to plug it back in. But currently, however long this lasts, I'm either going to buy the same coin or I'll be buying other coins. Okay, so it's, again, that's why I have those things ready. I already have those things in play. I'm not gonna, oh, it's unprofitable, things aren't looking good, it's losing a lot of money, I'm gonna go panic sell it and sell it for $1,000. Like, that's not the play here either. You want to be ready for these things. You want to prepare for these things. And what are you gonna do about it? Okay, in my case, I already had a game plan ready, and in this case, it 100% makes more sense because of how extreme this dip was. If you're interested in buying a KA3 or Cadena ASIC, it 100% makes more sense to not buy it, to buy the coin. Okay, we'll do a rough little estimate here real quick just to kind of ballpark it. Okay, so currently a KA3, it's losing $1.70 a day. Okay, so you're losing 4 kDA a day. So to me, this is a significant loss. 100% would be unplugged. This is at a 10-cent kilowatt hour. Obviously, if you're higher electric, it gets even worse, and it gets worse real quick. If you're cheaper, if you're down to the point where you're like a nickel and you're break even comfortably, then I would remain plugged in. I'm not that lucky. So the easiest way to look at it, whether or not this thing is worth buying, or like, oh man, prices are going to go down, even if they go down, right? Because currently market is like 3,500, 3,000, somewhere in that range. Even at that price, not making much sense because of this current dip. So these dips may not last long, but during these times, if you're in the market for one, you want to take advantage and you want to look at these things. Okay, so whether it's the K3 or any other ASIC, this is how you want to kind of ideally look at it. Okay, because let's do this calculation so it'll make more sense. But again, this is valid for any ASIC, any of these longer term ASICs. Again, it's different ball game with like Caspa ASICs or these lithium ASICs where it's more of a short term, yield as much as you can. These are more like traditional style where you're trying to like ROI over a long period of time. The K3, the K7, an L9, any of these, right? The Z15, etc., etc. So let's look at it. Real quick, easy calculations. Okay, and another big thing to factor with any of these longer term ASICs that aren't Bitcoin. Again, Bitcoin's a separate thing also because that's something you're going to want to accrue beyond this bull market also. So with this guy is the amount of time we have left. Okay, so like these were extremely ideal like a year and a half, 2 years ago when they first came out and when we got them. Why? Because we figured we had a solid year and a half, 2 years of bear market mining to take advantage of those yields, which worked out beautifully. We were anticipating potentially a refresh model after a year because it's anywhere from a year, year and a half, 2 years, sometimes longer, where a refresh can come out. In this case, I fully expect like a K5 or a K9 to come out potentially as soon as like this spring, maybe even this fall, winter, who knows, but it's a whole nother subject. So the big thing though is just the length of time we have left in the timeline. Okay, as far as like profitable mining goes. With these altcoin ASICs, you want to maximize the bull market. After the bull market, it may not be profitable. So you want to maximize the amount of time. And if you're calculating like a year and a half, 2 years ROI, look at where we're at in the timeline. We're August 2024. If we go by the cycles, the peak could potentially be sometime fall 2025. Could it be August, September, October, November? We don't know. Can it be sooner than that? Sure. Can it be later than that? Also sure. Okay, so factor that in. But if we look at it, just ballparking, have about 12 to 15 months. So you don't have that year and a half, 2 years potential from here. Okay, so factor that in with any of these like longer term plays if you don't think they're going to be profitable beyond the bull market. Okay, so that's why right now, for example, with me, those ETH hash ASICs that are very efficient, like 700 watts, are extremely appealing just because, again, that's the biggest thing is if this thing ain't profitable and it's burning 3,000, 3,500, almost 4,000 watts, very hard to keep going. Okay, something that's 500 watts, 700 watts, not that big of a deal. Okay, but just understand that risk factor. So let's do a quick rough calculation. 13 kDA a day, multiply it by how many days a month? 30, average, right? So 390, we'll multiply that by 12. 4,680. So if things are in your favor and they work out well, this is kind of, again, in my opinion, a best case scenario, you would yield about 4,680 kDA in about 12 months. The reason I'm saying this is a best case scenario is that it's extremely likely that sometime between now and the next 12 months, KDA will have some kind of pump, some kind of price action that will make these things more appealing. To what extent, we have no idea. Will it go to $1.50, $2 by the winter, by December, by January, February, March? Potentially, what's going to happen when that happens? It's going to look good on the profitability calculators and people are going to be interested in purchasing them. And the hash rate and difficulty is going to go up, meaning what? Your yield will go down at some point. Okay, or the KA5 comes out, it's twice as efficient. That causes the hash rate to moon as well, right? So the fact that your best case scenario is yielding this amount in 12 months, not looking too great when we look at how many you can buy for a relatively small amount. Okay, because again, this is probably going to be significantly less than this because it's very likely that KDA at some point, again, between now and the next 12 months will pump. More units will come out just like they did this previous pumps. Okay, so consider that as well. But let's look at how much you can buy. So currently, with its current price, and again, it's at 44 cents. It's gone up like 12% in the past day. Okay, this was down to like 38, 37 cents just a day and a half ago. Okay, so even at its current prices, currently, again, the yield amount is 4,680, which again, it's very likely you're going to be yielding less than this. Okay, for 2,000 bucks, you can buy 4,558. Okay, and this also, it's 2,000 bucks outright. You're not paying 3,000, 3,500 for the unit and then paying that hefty electric bill every single month to accrue that amount. This is just 2,000 bucks and you're yielding that amount. So currently, as the market is, 0 cents to buy KA3. Currently, because of this dip. Did we expect this dip to happen? No, but now that it's here, very good data point. Okay, and this is not something that's specific to here with any of these ASICs you're looking at. This is kind of how you want to look at it. Okay, this is a pretty significant dip. Will it dip lower? Maybe. Is this the last big dip we have for the next like year and a half? Also maybe. Okay, but currently with this dip, as of now, it makes 0 cents to get into one. Okay, a year and a half ago, sure. The end of last year, I was super iffy on it. I probably wouldn't have, just because again, the hash rate has gone up so much. This was the time to be mining, right? When the hash rate was half of what it is currently. Because again, as soon as the price goes back up a little bit, because it's currently down to 700 petahash, it's going to go right back up to 900. And if the price goes back up to, 80, 90 cents, a dollar, it'll go up beyond that. Okay, the time to mine with these long-term ones is when it's like break even or better, making only a couple bucks a day for this long period of time where you're stacking. Okay, because during this whole time, we were yielding 20 plus KDA a day. Okay, that was the time to be mining it. Now, right now, when at this peak recently, it was down to like 9, 10. With this dip, it did go down or up to like 13, 14. But these are the things you want to consider. So currently, right now, a lot of these are looking much more appealing to just buy. Okay, it just depends on how much they dip, and that's not all of them, right? You have to really look at which ones you're looking at. But specifically with that one, 100%. So that does mean like, I'm wrecked, I'm done. No, again, I was able to take advantage of those yields during those times when it was ideal to buy this thing. I'm very happy, and as a matter of fact, I tripled down yet again. Okay, because with this price dip, seeing this, I 100% bought more. Okay, so the initial lifetime goal was 10,000 KDA. Now I'm up to 15,000. So now, even if I don't get to plug this thing in again, because of this dip between DCAing during this time, mining it during this time, I'm very happy with how much I've had. Okay, so at this point, I don't need the price to go up to the moon to like make out extremely well here, right? And that's why I know a lot of people are concerned. They're like, oh man, you're only looking for like $3, $3.50. Reason being is look what this dip was, right? We went down to freaking 37 cents. Okay, even at 37 cents, even going up to $3.70, that's a 10x. More than happy with a 10x. Okay, realistically, because how much I've been able to accrue, I'm happy with this thing just making it back to $2. Goes back up to $2. I'm super happy. Obviously, anything more beyond that, obviously better. But I think that's fairly possible to happen just considering how much it's retraced. Even if they don't really get the most bullish news or the most adoption in the world, even if it just rides the wave of just the typical bull market, I could easily see anywhere from $3 to $5. Okay, and potentially higher. Maybe it does get adoption because again, this thing was previously at like freaking 20 something bucks. Okay, so the risk to reward for me, 100% there. Is there one that I'm going all in on though? Am I extremely convinced considering the other projects and everything else going on? Not necessarily, but to me, the opportunity is definitely there. Okay. And then one thing to consider when you're looking at these things too, like, oh, where it was before and what is now, factor in inflation. So another good metric you want to look at when you're doing these comparisons, look at the overall market cap and where the market cap is now. Okay, because you have to factor in the inflation amount. How many more coins are in circulation since that point? Again, 4 years is a long time, especially if it's a highly inflationary token. A good example is when you look at CKB's all-time chart, because this one mooned freaking early, right? This one, although right now it's not looking too hot because it's barely break even, its time, in my opinion, was past, right? So the time to be mining this thing was prior to the halving. That's when the yields were excellent, and then prior to this thing mooning and so many more units coming online. Okay, like even for me right now, I'm good with what I mined. I'm more than happy, just because it's going to be damn near impossible for somebody to make the amount that we made if you got in initially, because we mined during this boring time pre-halving. Okay, like if you were to get one right now, you might get like a third of what we got back then in 12 months. Okay, it's pretty drastically different, but the comparison I wanted to make here is when you're looking at previous all-time highs, right? Like you're looking at like what's the likelihood. Like here in this case, we did extremely well already. We had this big old peak, obviously retraced hard, and at this point it's like, oh well, it didn't break previous all-time high. It didn't, but when you look at the market cap, this is where it looks drastically different, right? And this is where chances are there's potential that this may be the freaking market high. Just because look at where the market cap's at in comparison to previous market caps. So although the price didn't break the all-time high, the market cap did significantly. Okay, so you really have to look at like the tokenomics of the coin, how inflationary it is, how deflationary it is, just a lot of different things that factor in there. Okay, but so again, there's times when it makes sense to mine, times when it doesn't. It's up to you in determining when that is, what you're going to do about it. Are you going to double down? Or are you going to panic sell? Be ready for these things, right? Regardless of what you're mining, whether it's this, any other coin, any other algorithm, be ready for these things. And in terms of when it comes to the dip, buying the dip, being ready for it, just another thing, be ready for it, right? I already have things in mind. Look at different narratives, different segments, different categories, whatever you're looking at, there was so many opportunities. Okay, and just really depending on where you were at, like a lot of people went in for like the AI things just because these have retraced so hard. My big thing, what I've been focusing on is gaming coins. So that's where my focus has been, and that's where I was already kind of preparing because of just where the price action was and that where it's gone since then. And this dip like definitely made me at least initially finish the initial allocations, which in these cases, they're very small market caps. So it's only like 1% of the portfolio, but I wanted to make sure I did hit that 1%, right? So like, for example, what's appealing to me, and this is something whether, regardless of what coin it is, whether it's gaming coins, GPU mineable coins, whatever coins you're looking at, when coins are back to, or they're like at all-time lows, and it's something you're kind of bullish on, things are developing, things are getting hyped still, these are price points you want to look at. Like, for example, with Big Time, that's one I've been following a lot. The launch price was 5 cents. It's currently at 7 cents. We bought some more at 6 cents. Okay. At this point, I did finish my initial allocation just because, again, am I super bullish as this thing's going to do amazingly well? Think it'll do well. The risk to reward to me seems excellent considering previous all-time high in December was 83 cents. So just looking at from that point where price is currently, it's like almost a 12x. And even recently where we were at in the March peak, which was at 60 cents, we bought some at 6 cents. That's a 10x. Even if it just reaches these bear market highs, which in my opinion, it's going to probably exceed that. So as far as which ones will be the winner though, if you're picking these individual ones, really hard to tell. So that's why I don't mind throwing 1% into this one, that one, that one, that one. And the hope is that one of them may do beyond a 10x, may do a 15, 20, 30, 40x. Okay. So that's where more of my focus has been, just because of the more established coins. I'm happy with my allocations. Did I add a little bit more? No, right? I did focus specifically on these smaller market cap coins and did start another position in another coin. Okay. Because to me, the opportunity is just too good here, right? I'm bullish on this coin. It's back to its start price. A lot of potential there. Same thing with some of these others. Another one that I finished in my little allocation, at least the initial one, is Shrapnel. Again, another one. This thing launched at freaking 7 cents. It's currently at 4 cents. Okay, another one that to me is going to get hype. It's on AVAX. It gets promoted a lot, gets talked about a lot. Still pretty rough around the edges, still early on, but hopefully it'll launch sometime in the bull market. Okay, and that's the goal. They're heavy on the test nets. It's still going around, and this is one that, again, is just potential upside. Currently at 4 cents. The peak in December was 40 cents. The peak in March was 38 cents. Okay, so again, for me, that's another one that has potential for a 10x, and then if it moons, again, that's just to reach bear market highs. And then from there, if it does do well, it does get hype, potential 15, 20, 30, 40x. Okay, but again, extremely risky. Game can flop, can go to zero. Okay, same thing with big time, same with these others. And then there's other cases where sometimes there is an outside influence that is lowering the price even more. And this is actually the position that I was looking to start because of what's going on with them. And this is another game that's been in development for a long time. This is Star Atlas. What has been extremely appealing here, number one, aside from the price currently is down, but even aside from the dip, the price was already in this region. The reason being is that because of what's going on outside here. So this, if you're interested in what's going on here, because this is something that can happen with other coins, is happening with other coins, and these are the kinds of things you want to look into. And this is because this is one of those coins that FTX owns and that they are liquidating. So if you're kind of interested in kind of reading more about it, I would highly recommend following this Twitter account at Siggy_SA, where he's been talking about it extensively, and he has links to another account that also has a more extensive graph, which we'll show here in a second. And this is the FTX liquidations. So a lot of the Solana coins that they held heavily because the VC influence, they've been dumping these coins since April, heavily, consistently. Atlas has been one of those. So ever since it started back in March, the price has been, and this is, again, it was right after the peak. Right after the peak, ever since then, and this is why it's been so aggressively down, even aside from this dip. Obviously, this dip isn't helping anything, but it's already been on that downtrend, and it's because of forced selling. Okay, so they have been liquidating this, and they've just been selling daily, which is pretty nuts, and people have been able to track this thing. So that's why I've been kind of waiting, because now it's to the point where they're almost fully liquidated. So now's the point where that massive sell pressure is going to be gone, and this is where I want to get in. Okay, so this is the position that I wanted to establish, and this is one that I did buy. Okay, so you can see here, and it's kind of cool because, again, if you follow that Twitter account, he'll have links and a lot of mentions to this website as well, this account, and they've been tracking it also. They've been tracking how much they've had in their wallet, because, again, this is the beauty of crypto. You can see how much they've had and how much they've been selling on the daily, and you can see now at the end here in August, pretty much all those positions are gone. Okay, so it's not just Atlas. Atlas is one that they held a massive amount, and again, they've just been liquidating daily. Okay, you can literally see how it's reduced every single day, just a forced selling. So this is something that's out of their control. FTX is just selling because, again, it's to repay all the debtors. Okay, so they've been selling a bunch of coins, a bunch of Solana coins. It's not just them either. It's Kin, Jupiter, Jito, Atlas, Radium, Mango, Star Atlas, DAO, because they have 2 coins, Samo, Aurori, Shadow Token, Render, Pith, Decimated, Neon, Camino, Hive Mapper, Helium. So a lot of freaking coins. Orca, Drift Protocol, Dog with Hat, a lot of these coins. Okay, specifically, you can see this brown mark. That was Star Atlas. That was one of the big holdings. Okay, so that's what's been going on with them. So that's what's been causing the price to go down so massively. Okay, because it's essentially back to where it was back in the beginning. Okay, so this is a coin that, because of this forced selling, it has crazy potential. This is a game that's still building, still doing well, a lot of popularity, should release sometime this bull market, has crazy potential. Okay, previous, even right now in this current bear market high was almost, what, a 8x from here. If we look at the all-times, it gets even crazy because this thing launched right at the peak of the last bull market. Okay, so the initial price was high. Like, I wouldn't expect it to get anywhere near this. If it did, obviously that'd be amazing. It would be like a friggin' 100x. I don't think it will. But again, to me, this thing has anywhere 10, 15, 20, 30 plus x potential. Okay, but again, this is a kind of a specific situation because it's forced selling, very similar to the big dips that happened after Celsius, right? If you guys remember, like ETH and all those, a lot of those dipped extremely hard because they were forced to liquidate. Okay, they didn't care about the price. It's kind of like what just Germany just did. It's not a price thing. They were just forced to liquidate, so they just liquidated all of it, which did what? Dumped the price. And in this case, it's been something that's just been ongoing over a stretched out period of time that is just about ending. So now all this like VC like money here, it's going to be all distributed, which is better. It's better for the coin. So if it was able to survive all that and it's still thriving, to me, it's showing it has good strength. Okay. So that's just one thing I'm looking at. Again, this is a specific example. I'm not saying to buy this coin. Again, it can go to zero. Who freaking knows? But again, those are just the kinds of things I'm looking at and why my focus is there. Just because, again, that's the niche, that's the category that I'm focusing on. These are coins that I did want to set goal amounts, which in this case, I did set a goal amount for this, and I just bought that whole bag immediately. Okay. So whether or not I increase from there or start adding more bags, I don't really know. At these prices, though, I'm going to continue to try to DCA. I'm going to ideally want to wait a week or so. I want to see what kind of happens. Does things get worse? Do they get better? I don't know, but I did buy aggressively here, and I'm happy with what I did. Okay. And then as far as like the mining versus buying discussion, this is something, again, like the mindset here, you can put it towards anything. Other GPU coins, because again, that was the same logic we had back in the day with when we bought our bags of like Caspa and RXD like almost 2 years ago now. Okay, same exact logic. We're doing the same game plans. They've been working. It's nearly 2 years later of this bear market. We're almost there, and it just makes sense. Okay, so again, that's why the goal for me is break even or better, focusing on yield, focusing on long-term gains, and focusing on bull market prices, not current prices. I know a lot of people are getting bummed out with like, even like Caspa ASICs, they're like, oh man, the profitability has gone down so much. It's like, bro, the yield is still excellent for what it is. Even after this massive dip, still a lot of upside, right? So it just depends on your strategies, your plans, how you look at things. But that's why it's so important to plan for these things, make goals, make plans so you can take advantage of these things so easily. You're not sitting here all stressed out like, oh man, what do I buy? They're so, because again, there's thousands of freaking coins. You're going to stress yourself the F out. This way you're ready, you're planned, you're going, you're engaged, you're in, you're out. You're not stressing about it, right? So that was kind of a long one, kind of all over the place, but I think there's a lot of good alpha here, guys. Take advantage of these dips. And even if you're not buying, take advantage of the data. Again, you want to see how much these things dipped. That way you can see future good price points. You can see which ones recovered the fastest, which ones you're looking at more. There's just so many good data points here, right? So even if you're unable to take advantage because you already unloaded all your capital or your whatever, look at these things. Or even if you're saving up for an ASIC, consider these kinds of things. Consider like where the hash rate's gonna go. Consider the amount of time left in this bull market, right? Like if you're gonna estimate your ROI time and it's like 2.5 years, it's like, do you have that much time? Like, think about different things, right? Just look at the long term, not just the short term. Okay. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you guys are doing. What are you guys buying? Did you guys take advantage of this thing? Did you guys buy hardware? Which in reality right now is more of a time to buy coins. Hardware prices hopefully will eventually start lowering. But again, typically they don't react immediately. It takes a sustained downtrend for a while and then we'll see lower prices. So hopefully maybe this thing does last a bit so we can get some lower prices here. Okay. So let me know in the comments, guys. Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, guys. And I am out.